something that made you you.
Yeah.
So the question becomes kind of about a displacement of who you thought you were and your sense of belonging, because you belong there. But then you have moved to Canada and you would have the sense of dislocation. So how did this migration and this dislocation, what happened to your sense of belonging? And what advice do you have for others who are navigating this kind of cultural dissonance and displacement?
Yeah. Wow. I feel like we exist as human beings between this and that. Between who we used to be and who we've become. We're both, but we're neither. If you're an immigrant, between the old country and the new, you're both. Because if I go to Trinidad, they can say, well, this boy's a Canadian. And when I'm in Canada, they say, well, you know, you're a Trinidadian. So you're neither this nor that, but you're both. I find that to be a very powerful place to be. It's disorienting, but when you get to the truth is what I just said, that when you realize that your home is your heart, and you truly understand that, then any room you walk into becomes home. That is the golden wisdom, but sometimes it's a lot of struggle to get to that. Like Miles Davis says, it takes a long time to sound like yourself. So I have empathy for that journey, but I know there's gold at the end of it, because the people that have figured that out, the people who can walk into any space and feel at home and blessed, they're the most powerful people in any situation. So,
of course, one of the questions people ask me all the time is, what is a Saga boy?
What is a Saga boy? And what do you answer? What do you answer?
It's one of them Trini people. Like,
yes. Are you asking me? I asking you.
Well, if in my experience of Trinidad.
Tell us, go on. See the interview flip, right?
Those were the days when there was no internet. So no one was seeing.
I mean, a Saga boy, if for those that don't know, I mean, in Trini, if somebody's just dressing up nice, you say, oh, Saga boy. But the original of it was, there is a kind of a Trinidadian playboy, you know? As my grandmother would say, he runs a string of trees. He has lots of women. He always look nice. His hair always cut nice. He does wear pretty scarf. I mean, wait, hold on. But, and you know, it's kind of a joke, but it's a joke based on a really tragic reality. The reality is, Trinidad didn't get independence until pretty much I was born. So everybody I knew when I was growing up, they grew up under, they didn't have parliament, they didn't have laws, they didn't have agency. They had a governor, not a governor general, but a governor. And if you know the difference, you realize what that is. And so they were disempowered people, and families were disrupted because of the legacies of slavery and indentured servitude for the people from Southeast Asia that came. And as a result, a lot of the men, the only way they could find pride was in their sexuality. And so Saga boy became a way that you could have power in a situation designed to disempower you. And I grew up in the legacies of that. My grandfather, Horbert Downing, used to call himself God of Negro. Not the king, not the prince, not the prime minister, the God of Negro. So he did not lack from confidence. He was 6'5", he was handsome, he used to work on the oil rig, so he had money, and he was a Saga boy. My father, God bless him, Saga boy. And some would say me at different points in my life, but I think I named the book that because that's the legacy of who I become, or where I come from. But it's about me learning to make different choices than the men who made me.
Talk a lot about resilience in this book. You know, when we talk about Black identity in Canada and the system and systemic issues that we have and the challenges that we face, what kept you going through these most challenging moments?
I love this question.
How do you define? Because I have a problem with the word resilience all the time.
That's why I get
I'm
mad.
like, why do I have to be resilient?
Yeah.
And what does it really mean?
Yeah.
So, what would you define it as, if not resilience? And then what, you know, when you are going through all of this, up and down and fighting the system and fighting to be seen as yourself, not just as a Black man or an immigrant or a Canadian, but you. How did you make it through that? And what advice would you give? If not resilience, then what is it?
Yeah. I feel like every time somebody wants to tell a story about immigrant or Black people, it's about resilience. Yeah. I read 30 different memoirs so I could write this book. I did my homework. I'm an English Lit graduate from Waterloo, so I got books, man. So when I was gonna write a book, I went and read a lot of books. And what I learned is like the books that I read from Caucasian folks that had a lot of difficult things in it, when they were interviewed about their books, nobody asked them about resilience. Like there's a book called Angela's Ashes, very famous book about an Irishman who moves back as a kid back to Ireland during the 30s in the Depression. And you know, babies are dying, fathers are drunk, all kind of tragedies going on. I never saw an interview where they asked this man about resilience. I write my little book with much less tragedy in it, and guess what they want to ask me about? How are you? Oh my God. And so, let's just say that there's a framing of the narrative, because in this same book, there's me and my brother pretending we're preachers and making fun of the preachers by preaching our made-up sermons. There's me writing songs and singing songs and being a musician and an artist and being creative. There's all kinds of beauty and love and care. There's the care and love my grandmother put in me. But nobody really wants to talk about that. So the answer to the question is, okay, how do we get by? How do we get through? How do we succeed in a system where, you know, it's just people's nature. We look different. There's not that many of these, so we're going to get called out. Or people are going to have their own story. And we all have to find our own way to sort of navigate. But I got to tell you, what keeps me going is joy and love. I think about my grandmother, I start smiling. I used to sing songs she used to sing that I didn't know I remembered, but if I felt a ways, suddenly I'd be singing the whole song as if I knew every single word. And so for me, it's that we know that we got here from the love and the care of the people around us, the people that see us for who we are and trust us, and we don't sit around and cry with them. What do? We eat our food, we drink our drink, and we laugh and we make joke, and we listen to some music and we sing. That's our strength. That is how we get through. Not by the resilience, like all the neck focusing on everything that's difficult, but by focusing on everything, on the why, you know? I'm here because an old lady chose to raise me and I wasn't her child. So for me, my why is be a person that she would be proud of. And if that is the only thing I do in my life, I will count myself a successful person. And I don't need to think about resilience to get to that.
Well said.